What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Austin Proud with Proper Pressure Washing. Today I'm going to be doing an updated video on the Softwash gun setup. I'm going to be going over a couple different options that you can find at your local big box store and what we use on a daily basis and kind of the pros and cons to each setup. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so for the first setup, we've got this one right here. This consists of mostly PVC/sprinkler riser parts with a couple brass fittings up here. The kind of pros to this is it's pretty much chemical resistant from this point up to here. You're not really going to have any issues with chemicals breaking down any parts, like the bearings and stuff inside of here that will get broken down over time, and also the O-ring and stuff in here, that'll kind of degrade over time. But as far as, you know, some of the other portions of this, the chemical's really not going to hurt it at all because it's PVC and it's, you know, pretty bulletproof. The only issues you're going to have with a setup like this is it's pretty fragile, if you will, meaning if you throw this off of a roof onto the grass, or you drop it, or if it falls off the trailer, it's more than likely going to break. This ball valve here is like a $2 or $3 ball valve. Over time, this will get kind of stiff. And with it being outside, depending if you leave your equipment outside overnight, the constant sun exposure is going to cause this to become brittle, and it'll eventually crack. That'll probably take 4, 5, 6 months for it to happen, but it is going to happen at some point. The other nice part about this kind of setup is you can go into, like I said, Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace Hardware, and pretty much duplicate this setup with stuff that's on the shelf. These fittings here are all 1/2 inch, so this is a 1/2 inch thread and 1/2 inch barb for a low pressure application hose, 1/2 inch ball valve, 1/2 inch riser that's about 12 inches in length. Coupling is also 1/2 inch. This is a 1/2 inch thread that goes down to 1/4 inch thread with a 1/4 inch female quick connect with male thread. So you'll be able to put your J-rod tips, your adjustable fan tips, pretty much anything you want to put in here that you use with your Softwash system. This is going to work for you. Altogether, this will probably run you about 20, 25 bucks on the higher end, and you've got a reliable setup that is pretty easy to repair in the field, and it's going to last, like I said, about 5 to 6 months. The other thing that I like to do on my fittings is I always run the threaded fittings, because a lot of the stuff we carry on the trailer is always threaded. You can also do just straight PVC and just put your plumber's, cement on here, push it in, twist it, and that'll be the same thing. But keep in mind, for field repairs, it's going to kind of screw you because now you've got a cracked pipe that's in here and you got to keep another one of these on hand. So keep that in mind for this setup. All right, for the second setup here, we've got this rig. This consists of pretty much all stainless steel and brass fittings. The nice part about this is this ball valve here is stainless steel. It's a crisp on and off. It's got a locking mechanism, as you can see right here, so that'll prevent it from getting caught up on grass or any hoses. Pretty much anything out in the field when you're starting to reel up, if you kind of leave it wherever, it's not going to get caught up and turn it on, so it'll just always stay locked. The other nice parts about this is pretty durable. You drop this on the ground, it's not going to break. If you throw this off of a roof, this is really only your weak link right here. You might snap that if it falls at the perfect time, but I don't think that this is going to be a problem as far as damage goes. You can see here we've got a brass 1/2 inch thread by 1/2 inch barb, and brass here with a stainless steel or aluminum rod that goes up. You can use either or. And then this is a stainless steel 1/4 inch quick connect that just is better quality and isn't going to fail as quick. Some pros to this, like I said, it's pretty durable. You're not really gonna have to worry about any damage. Field repair from this point forward is pretty, normal. You're gonna have 1/4 inch quick connects. You're gonna have, 1/4 inch threads from here to there, so you can always just throw in a, even a copper rod that they sell at Home Depot that's probably about that big, probably 4, 5, 6 inches sometimes, just depending on what you can find. And then the other pros to it is you don't have a weak link here anymore, like we do on the PVC ball valve, where that one was PDC or PVC 80, whatever it's called, Schedule 80, I think. So now you've pretty much got a solid ball valve system, and you're not gonna have to worry about really any damage. Now the cons to it is you've got a couple more moving parts with this setup. You've got this nut here, which will probably back itself out over time. This might get bent depending on if you drop it or if you reel it up the wrong way, the handle might become bent over time. And then you're gonna have some O-rings and a shaft inside of here that, depending on the chemicals and if you guys rinse it through all the way, it might start to degrade because this is not necessarily a chemical resistant ball valve. However, it will still work for low pressure applications. And of course, you're still gonna have the issue with the bearings here over time, that they'll get a little bit caught up. So just make sure that you lube these bearings in here and always have replacement O-rings on hand. And this setup here would last, I would guarantee, probably about 6 months or so before you start having to make repairs or you start to notice some stuff starting to fail. So overall, this setup here, probably about closer to the $30, $35 mark. And that's kind of like the higher end. This ball valve alone is about 15 bucks off the shelf. And you've got some brass and a stainless steel fitting here, so that's going to jump that price up a little bit. However, this is still a very reliable setup. All right, so for the last setup, we've got this here. As you can see, this is hooked up to our Softwash system right now. We've got about 220 foot of Flexzilla 1/2 inch air hose is what it's called. As you can see, it's right here on the hose. This is their 300 PSI rated hose. From here forward, I'll go over kind of some of the fittings with you real quick. We've got a 1/2 inch brass barb by 1/2 inch thread. We've got a 1/2 inch reducer to 3/8. This is a 3/8 mosmatic swivel here that gets threaded into an upsizer or up reducer, whatever you want to call it. It goes from 3/8 to 1/2 inch. And then this entire ball valve here is a 1/2 inch ball valve, which once we get over to here, you've then got another reducer that goes from 1/2 inch to 1/4. You've got your 1/4 inch quick disconnect here, a rod, and then another 1/4 inch quick connect up here, and then your nozzles. So a couple things to go over on this. This is what I use on a day-to-day basis. And the reason I use this is because this ball valve is a lot higher quality than the ones you're gonna find in Home Depot. It's more durable. The field repair is a lot easier. It's more simplistic. It's a crisp turn of the ball valve. It works. You can drag it, around on the street and all that kind of stuff. As you can see, this one's probably been on the trailer the better part of 6 to 8 months, and it hasn't cracked yet. It really doesn't have any issues. And this is kind of what you can expect to see as far as corrosion buildup and some of that stuff on these fittings over time. The swivel is still crisp. The ball valve is still crisp. You'll see some wear and tear on the couplings here on this particular ball valve, some corrosion here, and that's still some of that blue putty that we use on our fittings. But once we get up here to the stainless steel fittings, you can kind of see some corrosion. These are going to need to be replaced here within the next month or so. That's kind of what you can expect to see on a stainless steel fitting. This one here, that's also stainless steel, 1/4 inch male plug with female threads. It's kind of a little bit tough to get it in sometimes. Like I said, it's due for a change. Up here, we've got our 1/4 inch female quick connect with female threads. And this one I can't get out because it's in there, because this is just a regular steel fitting. That was a mistake on my part with the Meg tip. Some pros to this: you've got your chemical resistance here. So this is going to hold your liquid in without having to worry about it leaking. This is a lot more durable than this ball valve right here. You can just kind of look at them and see, your breaking point on these is really going to be this little handle here, versus this one is more of a hollow kind of a build. It's not really going to get caught up on a lot of things, and if you do drop it on the ground, you've got a little bit more leeway before it's going to snap. Some of the cons to it is this particular ball valve here. This isn't a GF, this isn't a Sashi, I think is the other one. This is just a ball valve that we get off Amazon. I'll post a link in the description. However, the threaded ones are not available anymore. I've got a couple here right behind me just to show you some ideas. This is what the ball valve looks like broken down. As you can see, it's got 2 O-rings on each side, and it also has, I think, another portion you can break it down a little bit further to kind of maintenance it. Now, however, basically how this works is you just thread it onto there like that, push your fittings in there, and you're good to go. But like I said, these fittings that they make for these ball valves, they normally sell them as either a threaded, or I think it's called a full port, which is, a traditional pipe that you would put in there. They have this version of it online still, which is the link that I'm going to post, for 1/2 inch. If you have anything like this, or you can find, just these little twist-on couplings, you can use the ball valve that they sell with these fittings and just take these off and then screw this one on. Or you can jimmy rig something up to have the pipe that goes out with your 1/4 inch quick connect fittings on it, and then maybe have you know, a thread that goes in here, and then that'll kind of bypass that problem. As far as other cons go to this setup, you do have a little bit more fittings to get from 1/2 inch to 3/8, and then back from 1/2 to 1/4. So it's a little bit bulkier, and you're gonna have a little bit of a price increase because the swivel here is generally $30 to $50 depending on where you find it from. I'll post the one that I use from Amazon, which is I think what this one is. Like I said, we've been using this for about 8 months and it's solid. Haven't had any leaking issues or any reliability concerns. So like I said, you're gonna have a little bit extra fittings just to get it, you know, size down, size back up. And then once you get up here, you're still gonna have the corrosion issue over time, but as long as you thoroughly rinse stuff out, lube it up on occasion, and have replacement parts on hand, it's really not a deal breaker. This stuff isn't meant to last a lifetime. It's meant to be disposables over the course of 6 to 8 to 12 months, really just kind of depending on how frequently you work and how well you take care of your stuff. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for the Softwash gun update video. If you have any questions about where to get some of these parts at, feel free to comment down below. I'm gonna post a couple links for the ball valve and the swivel, just kind of some common parts that I use that you can find relatively easily. And that's gonna be it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, share with a friend.